Thanks for coming today, Jeremy. Thanks for this. I'm looking forward to all of our episodes. I think that as we've got the first one recorded and now we're going into the second one, I think we just keep coming up with more topics that we could explore in the
Yeah.
future. I think maybe I would get you to talk a little bit about moving and going into a different market and maybe what your ideas were around that.
Well, I think there's something kind of neat for us to unpack because for me, I've been in the business for 16 years. I built it one way and I figured my way through. And then now I do business much different than I did when I started. And I've always kind of wondered if I were to actually stop, pick up my business, start in a new town, how would I build that business? And you actually have experience with it. So I'm just curious to pick your brain, see what your thoughts are, what your perspectives would be on, let's say, a newer agent that was thinking about starting out or maybe moving to a new area, and how do you rebuild a business right from scratch?
Right. Well, I did both at different points in time. And what I think I would first say was that I had the benefit and the generosity of teams who were willing to take me on. I approached them. I had talked about what my passion for serving a client looked like, and it aligned with their values. And that I was able to walk in and then be busy right away. It wasn't a super profitable way. I took a small salary, and I think last time we just kind of touched on what it would look like um, when just getting in and figuring out how to get paid. And when I very first started, it looked very different than it did by the time I had evolved into having my own business.
Well, and this kind of goes back to one of the things that we're starting to do as a brand is we're moving into more the team building and looking at different models. And it gets pretty enticing for a team that's run well for a newer agent just because of the amount of at bats you get, the amount of people you get to talk to, and just having a mentor over you. So, if, from your perspective, do you think teams for a newer agent, or how would you rebuild it if you were to do it right now?
I think teams are a great way to go about it. I think it also is matching yourself with someone who has values that are aligned to yours
Right.
and knowing that you're going to be able to walk into a lot of their processes and your mind might already naturally go in some of the ways that they that they operate in. I think that's part of it. So you're a little bit interviewing each other. I think
Yeah.
as if you're a new agent or a moving agent and you're talking to teams because yes, you want to fit in to what their bigger, more overarching idea is, but also you want for it to go the other way as well.
And so for you, if you, let's say you're sitting down with a team, you're looking into a different market, what's kind of your questions that you're asking to figure out, is this the right go? Because first off, obviously with a team, for anyone that doesn't know, the model is much different. When you come into the business, you have your license. Your role is to now find people to do business with. And what a lot of people get shocked of, not everybody, but a lot of people do get shocked of, is that you just came into the industry. This is a big investment for a lot of people, and you're a newbie. So the people that are closest to your sphere of influence, in my experience, aren't necessarily the first ones that are going to reach out to you and use you because you're still pretty new, and a lot of them have stronger ties. So for me personally, it took me till year 3, 4 where I started seeing my sphere of influence actually work with me. So I was doing a lot of open houses. I was calling expired listings. I was doing anything I could to work with people. And looking back on it now, I'm like, I wonder how much faster I could have grown if I had started with a team, even if it was for just the first 24 months, to kind of learn the systems, learn how a structure went, and just talking to more people. I didn't. I built it myself, but a team structure is much different in the fact that you're paying a higher split. So typically you're spending about 50% of what you make goes back to the team lead. But in a lot of cases, they're also feeding you the leads. They have a surplus of people that are looking to buy, or mostly buy. I wouldn't say that you get too many listings on a team typically. But you're dealing with a lot of buyers, you're getting into homes, you're doing transactions, and your expenses are much lower because you're not paying to market yourself. You're being a part of the brand. So when you start looking at the numbers, a lot of people get caught on the fact that they're doing 50%, but their profit might be higher. And so that's the team model. Now, for you, if you were going in, if you were going to look at a team, what kind of questions are you asking to see if it's a good fit?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to ask that back to you after I give a little bit of an insight. But I do want to know what their picture is for bringing on new people. What does that look like? What would my day look like? And for what my experience was that I had joined a team where they wanted me to do a lot of the paperwork. So they were out doing the showings, they were out taking the listing appointments. And then I was in the office in the background waiting for instruction and doing a lot of paperwork. And I think in the very first year, I probably wrote more offers than a lot of brand new agents. And then it also, I had the safety net of the manager of the team to look it over and make sure that I had done things correctly. And as a brand new agent, I think that it would be the daunting idea of making a legal document would be a really hard hurdle to overcome.
So were you an assistant then?
I'm going to say that I was licensed, but was brought on like an assistant.
Interesting. So a licensed assistant. Were you showing houses at the time?
I would sometimes accompany them, but not on my own for at least the first 3 months.
What an interesting model. So that is more like an apprenticeship because the standard, not standard, but traditional team model would have you working with people because you have a license and you can sell. And typically it would be buyers. That's usually where they would start is buyer calls that come off the team leads listings. But it sounds like they really put you in a position where you were learning the paperwork in the back end, almost like an internship where you're kind of shadowing and watching and learning. How long were you in that role for?
Well, I'm going to say that after the first 3 months, and then when I did start getting out into doing showings and things, and this is just from what I can remember because it was more than a decade ago, is that I was then moved into a percentage. They were like, "Oh, actually, you are totally worth like you're worth the time that you're putting in. We're going to start paying you like that."
So how did you, because you must have had bills to pay and stuff, how did you survive off of, like, was it a salary then?
It was a salary. Yeah, and so whatever they were bringing in, I made a pretty small salary for the first 3 months, and then after that, it moved to a percentage. They had, as agreed, that I had worked my way into that, structure being offered.
How many agents was on that team?
It was 2, and they brought me on.
Wow. See, I've never heard of that. I've heard of working in as an assistant and moving over to it. This is different. It's almost like a trial period, just like an apprentice. Like it's almost like a 90-day trial period to get a feel of what the industry is actually like and whether it was something that you were wanting to do and cut out to do.
Right, yeah, and I really did take it as, I was proving myself. I did have to go out and show that I wanted to learn and that when I was learning something new that I could implement it quite quickly right afterwards as well.
And were you brand new at the time or was this
I
the
was.
with the transition? Oh, okay. So this is like you had no experience. Did you do a team the second time? Because you moved once and then you rebuilt your business. Did you do a team that time?
When I did the move, I actually did shift in my focus in real estate. So when I moved from, living up north and then living down south in a bigger city, that was when I was transitioning into managing broker work and was working with a broker team and initially was taking the course when I very first approached the next brokerage. I was already engaged in the broker course.
Oh, okay. So then I guess starting out now, knowing what you know, what would be you're in a new town, you've got no database, you've got no contacts. What's your starting plan, your 90-day action plan to get going in the business?
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that I think if you are an established agent and you do have life plans that change and you do move to a different community, one of the things is getting involved in your community. And I think that's probably the best and fastest way to grow out your network. So sometimes for me, that's been something like Chamber of Commerce. And sometimes it's been something more along the lines and it's casual, like joining a choir. And
Right.
so it's just getting out in your community and participating, and making contact.
Well, it's interesting because I know real estate agents that join like 5 gyms, just to get out in different gyms and they got in the best shape of their lives. But the membership fee was really the entry to get in and be around people and connect and get to know people and they have like-minded interests. And so I guess that's for lack of a better word, it's almost like your people currency. You can start making a lot of relationships just by doing different hobbies and being around people. And Chamber of Commerce, I haven't done a ton of that kind of stuff, but you've found that there's some pretty good contacts that come from that? Like
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a little
there's
bit of a leadership role too that you can take on, right?
There's leadership roles. You learn how to run a business meeting, or one that at least is going to follow Robert's rules of order, and all of that is something that is a skill that lends well. Let's say if you wanted to get involved in municipal politics, or maybe even be involved at the school board level if you have children. I
Yeah.
think that like not only are you giving back in your community in those instances, but then you're also making contact with a lot of folks.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because we have such different backgrounds. My answer would have been completely different. This is why I'm
Oh yeah, I do
fascinated
want
by
to hear
yours.
some more.
Because it's because, well, that makes sense, and knowing what I know about real estate now, you think that would click with me, that you gotta have relationships, but for me, it's always been who's putting their hand up that wants to buy or sell real estate. That's always been where I've always focused, and I think one of the reasons is I'm always looking at, "Okay, what's the right now business? How could I go make money this week?" It's been the focus since I started, and it's always kinda stuck with me, so hearing your perspective on getting those out, I think probably sits a lot better with a lot of people, um, because it's a lot more natural, you're having a much more comfortable environment. One thing I will tell you from that side is I have found that having the relationships is really good. Asking for the business really is kind of the key. And this is actually something that I'm just starting to learn more and more just in the last couple of years, mostly in the last year. I'm following up. I've had 16 years of business. I'm starting to call my clients, touching base with them, really running my database like a database, keeping in touch with the people, especially the ones that really refer you a lot. But all I started doing was 5 reach outs a day, 5 days a week. I was talking to you about this earlier. Just 5 reach outs to people, go through your contact list, call them, check in with them. You're checking the hot sheets every single day anyway, so if there's something of interest to them on the hot sheets, let them know what's happened. But just checking in with people, and then I've been leaving the conversations. My wife's in the business right now. We're really growing. I really like dealing with you. I was just curious, would you mind passing my name on if you know anyone else looking to buy or sell a house? Because I know like-minded people are around like-minded people, and we'd really like to hit the goals that we set this year. So anything that you could pass my way, I'd really appreciate it. And just ending it off with that has actually made a massive change in my business. And I've had some time to think about that now. And my business had a lot of repeat business. I have good clients and I connect well with them. But my referral business has been growing a lot more because they don't know how you get paid. They don't know. They see the ads. They think you're real busy. That kind of stuff starts to creep in. And just actually asking someone, it's amazing how you'll just stay on their radar and they'll start passing out your name. So yes, the people currency, for lack of a better word, is important. Asking for the business, letting them know what you do. But then my answer would have been just completely different. It's good that there's a second perspective, give a contrast of maybe you can seam the two together. You're going to have a much stronger business if you're connected with chamber and people at the gym. And that's where you're going to have a good business when you need the money. There's some other ways that you can go that's going to maybe pay out a little faster. And before I jump into what I'm going to talk about, do you do you agree with that sentiment, or did you find that joining the chamber and doing that stuff did lead to right now business?
No, I think that all takes a little bit because it is showing how you work over time. I think that when you join a group, when you join a club, when you join a gym, it takes a little while to become known. And so those are good entry points, whether you're new or just moving into a new place. But I also think that it is such a great thing for you to say, ask for the business. I think it like when you hear it, you think, oh, yeah, obviously. But then if we really think about it, how many of us actually say a statement like, I've liked working with you? If you can
Yeah.
think of anyone who might need an agent right now,
Would you mind passing my name on?
would you mind
It's
passing my
yeah,
name on? I mean,
yeah,
it sounds so simple, but I do believe that that doesn't probably happen enough for most of us.
yeah. Well, and the other thing too, just while we're on that tip, taking it a step further, the second mistake I used to make when it came to that is people would say, "Hey, actually, you know what's funny? I just passed your name on to X, Michelle. She's a girl I know from the gym. She was mentioning it, and I told her to give you a call." And I would say, "Thank you so much," and I would send them the thank you card for passing my name on to Michelle. And just so what I started doing just recently is I started saying, "Hey, that's awesome." The only thing is I get so many spam calls and like things that come in. I don't want to miss it if Michelle needs help. Do you think she'd be offended if I just reached out to her and introduced myself? I just wouldn't mind making contact with her if I could. If you think that that's going to be too far and she's going to be uncomfortable with that, then I won't. But if you think it'd be okay, I'd love to reach out. And a lot of people will give you the number at that point without it being awkward. Like if they're like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm like, that's perfect. Don't. like, I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable, but if you think it would be a benefit, I would like to contact her. And I would say probably almost everyone that I've done that with actually has been okay with me reaching out to them because they know I'm taking into account their feelings. I don't want to be the pushy salesman, but I also don't want to miss them. Like if they want to do something, I'd like to like start helping them now because earlier I meet with them, the better. So just that little step has actually made a massive difference as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I do know that we were um, aiming in the beginning of this podcast to kind of keep it to your short drive to work or around the 20-minute point. So I do want to invite to jump into your next topic if you wanted.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. What was the other thing that you had on your mind?
well, if we are listening to agents that are starting out or are thinking of getting licensed, I wouldn't mind just running you through a few things that helped me out a lot that I would give you as advice starting in. Like if you're going to do a team, I think it's great. I think you're the 50%, if you pick the right team, is going to make a big difference in your business. You're going to have a strong team lead that you can start watching. Some of the best growth I had, I actually paid a realtor, a mentor of mine, we'll call him a mentor, 10% of my income for 1 year. When I was in year probably 7 or 8, I was doing about 200,000 in GCI at the time, and I went to 360,000. So I ended up paying him about 36,000. It's still one of the best investments I made because we kept it totally informal, and I would listen to him. I would go on listing appointments and I would watch and I would listen to his mannerisms. I picked up so much in that year just from shadowing that I think if you're really wanting to grow, that's what you want to do. You want to sit down and listen to someone that's experienced that you resonate with and kind of picture yourself in it. Because if I'm sitting at a listing appointment, especially when newer, if you've got someone that's like a mentor that you can sit in a listing appointment, you get to watch from a different angle because you're seeing how they're talking, but you're seeing how the client's responding. Whereas a lot of time when I'm locked in and I'm talking to you about a listing, it's hard for me to pick up everything because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. So that's
Hmm.
the benefit of the team lead, especially when you're doing buyers or anything. I picked up a lot by just going on buyer appointments with them. But if you're going to go on the independent route, I would highly recommend that you do what you were saying, but also find some right now business. And some of the most underlooked business that you can find is go to the realtors that are super busy in your office. Because what you're going to find is a lot of the realtors that are really busy have been in the business for like 30 years. They have some systems, but they're just flying hot. And
Hmm.
what I did, which was a great pickup for me, is I went to one of the busiest agents and I said, I know you're busy. You've got so many listings. You got to have a lot of calls. What I'm wondering is if there comes a time when you have a sign call or someone like that that's looking to buy, I'd be happy to take them on, pay you a referral, and I will show up and I will make you look like a champion. I will say that you sent me to give the white glove service to make sure that they're really well taken care of. You wanted to be here, you couldn't. You sent me. I'm the second best thing, but I'm going to be here and do everything I can because I don't want to mess this up for Tracy because it was important to her. Um, we did so much business together in that first year because they get hot and there's sign calls. Now with the rules, it's even better because they can't even sell it anyway. But it was a
Hmm.
seamless way for her to, at the time we could do double ending. But if she couldn't make it, I could go show her properties. I could meet with the buyers. I could make her look awesome. I would give her updates and I would run these people through. And though there was underlooked deals, made 25% and I made her reputation look really good. That's
Right.
that's that's one thing you can do, and there's guaranteed any office you go to, there's gonna be a couple of these veteran realtors that are gonna be really interested. You just have to go talk to them, let them know what you're thinking, and let you know you're open for business. Second thing is, open houses, and don't fall into this trap, which I see a lot of newer realtors do. You want to do an open house and you go and you post to the whole office, I'm open for open houses. I can do it. And you will get all the realtors that have overpriced listings with angry clients that have been on for 6 months. Will send you out to absolutely everywhere on a Saturday and Sunday, and you'll be sitting at open houses with no buyers coming through. It happens all the time. So what I always recommend is pick your product first. Look for other agents in the office that have good hot listings that just came up and call them because a lot of people don't do the open houses. Find product that's in the areas that you want to already work. Approach the realtors. A lot of them are just happy to have you host open houses. If you think it's appropriate, you could even say, I'll cut you back a referral if I get any buyers from it. It's totally up to you how you want to approach this. But if you can find good hot listings that are kind of like your storefront, you're going to be able to sit in an open house on a Saturday and have 10 to 15 buyers just walk through that are ready to buy. You know they're ready to buy because they were willing to come out and walk through the open house. And then what I would say is remember they want access to properties. A lot of them are just
Hmm.
walking through open houses and they're missing a lot of the market. And what I would do is I would say, if you're going to host an open house, host it as if you're trying to do the best job as a listing agent you can. Have really good feature sheets, have your brochures out, have any additional information about the property that you can find, the title, the property disclosure, whatever it is, and then know the strengths and know the weaknesses of that place. And then go find the top 5 competitors and know their strengths and weaknesses. So that when the buyer says, we really like it, but the yard's a little small, you already know that and say, yeah, I know, but have you guys seen X property down the street or X property here? We just walked through it. And this is where your product knowledge as a newer agent is going to help, because if you can take them from an open house to looking at one more house, your chances of you working with them, a buyer, went up about 40%. By the time you take them to a second house, you're at 80%. If you get them to a third house working with you, they pretty much got that commitment. So I always say to newer agents, be a professional listing agent, know your product, and just, if they're not working with a realtor and willing to talk with you about the market, catch their attention, get them into a couple more houses, and you got yourself a good buyer. So those would probably be the 2 that I would really focus on at the start. That's going to generate you some right now business.
You're so right. I just written open houses down just a moment ago about
Yeah,
it too. I'm really glad that you brought that up. And I do think that it's really good for buyers to attend open houses, even if they feel like maybe that's not their perfect property, because they might meet the agent that they really want to work with. And then when you are brand new and when you are, let's say, a first time buyer or a many time buyer, I think that working with a realtor that is brand new, you're just looking for that right relationship, but you're also looking for someone who's going to commit to finding out answers for you, because that was another really big thing. So whichever end of that you're on, whether you are the buyer or you are the brand new agent, you want to see the agent saying, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm going to find it out for you, because I'm interested too, and we should know this. And so I think that's like another really big piece of that.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then over time, then when you have confidence, I also think that part of being able to ask for repeat business, and that comes from confidence, and confidence comes from getting out there and learning and doing the job for more days and weeks and years down the line.
Well, one of the things that one of my early brokers actually told me, which ended up being brilliant advice, is to fake it till you make it. Nobody, I haven't met anyone that stepped into this business, got their real estate license, and felt like, I know what I'm doing. I'm 100% confident in my next steps forward. I know up until probably year 5, every time I would list a home, I'm like, there's like 5 other realtors that they should probably list with, because they they know a lot better. Or if I'm was in the trenches and the house wasn't selling and we weren't getting offers, it took me till probably 6 or 7 where I got to a confidence level. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm the best option. And then 8, 9, then you start being like, I should be the option. So it kind of switches. I think some people probably switch earlier. I started really early in the business, but it's not uncommon to get your real estate license and all of a sudden realize, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I got my license. I'm in the field. I've now got a buyer and I don't know what I'm doing. And whether you're on a team or whether you're independent, you're going to experience that. So just know everyone else does, and you're going to work through it. And what's uncomfortable now is going to be comfortable very soon.
If we just want to put a nice little bow on our episode, I was thinking that we would end with a piece of advice, but that's a really good piece of advice to end on if you'd like to. But yeah, fake it until you make it.
It works. It absolutely works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like that does put a nice bow on it. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us for the podcast. We look forward to it. We're aiming for weekly, and we will just keep compiling this list of all the topics we could possibly cover.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.